During the premiere of Transformers Rise of the Beasts, director Stephen Cable Jr. was directly asked whether there would be an 8th part, to which he replied that it will definitely be. The news comes after the director revealed that he is currently in talks with Paramount to direct Transformers 8. However, the project is still in the early stages of production and no deals have been signed yet. But will the producers want to work with Stephen again? Judging by how Rise of the Beasts failed, we are waiting for more updates. That makes sense because the franchise recently got a soft reboot with the release of Travis Knight's Bumblebee, which will allow producers to film any storyline. I personally enjoyed Bumblebee despite the reviews from critics and audiences. I got pleasant emotions from watching, especially I felt the cozy vibes of the 80s and loved the new designs of Transformers themselves. They became more old school and classic, which allowed many to take a fresh look at familiar characters. If Michael Bay tried to make everything as epic and extra detailed as possible, then the new bots began to resemble those action figures from Hasbro. Some liked this retcon, while others still consider it a downgrade, but nevertheless, Bumblebee paid off at the box office and brought Paramount Studios $460 million, but became the most commercially unsuccessful Transformers movie. Until Rise of the Beasts came out, last year's film by Stephen Cable Jr. essentially flopped and was so unnecessary that it was immediately forgotten. Even Unicron's full-fledged debut didn't help with this. And after such a dumb, Paramount is going to change their strategy again. No, we're not expecting another reboot. It's just that the studio admitted that they didn't pay enough attention to the plot and characters. Just compare how memorable the characters were in original Trilogy with Shia LaBeouf, what they became with the arrival of Mark Wahlberg, and finally what they turned into in Rise of the Beasts. That's a mistake the studio shouldn't make in the next movie. Yes, Transformers is an entertaining franchise with the pretext of grabbing some popcorn, shut up and watch, but the writers nailed the dialogue and character relationships so badly that they started to look stupidly boring. So Paramount producers have already announced that they will place more emphasis on developing the plot for the 8th Transformers. The release date was originally planned for December 26, 2024 because they wanted to directly continue Rise of the Beasts, but most likely it will be postponed to 2025. At the end of Rise of the Beasts, Noah sits at a job interview, still thinking of getting a job as a security guard. However, his employer says his resume is weak. After this, Noah tells how he recently saved the world, but it seems like a trolling. However, Man gives him a chance and slips him a business card, telling Noah to join his team. In addition to that, they offer to treat his brother, which certainly convinces Noah. Then the man opens the door to some secret base. There's also some sort of huge plane being built in the background. Noah flips over a card and sees G.I. Joe logo. As you probably know, G.I. Joe is another Hasbro franchise. It's a popular action figure series that originated in the 60s. It features a diverse range of military-themed characters, vehicles, and playsets. G.I. Joe has also been the inspiration for comic books, animated series, and movies, often portraying elite special forces and covert operatives in various missions to combat villains. Thus, this scene is a direct hint at an entire Hasbro cinematic universe that has already begun to emerge. But judging by the reviews and box office performance of Rise of the Beasts, it's likely that Paramount won't be rushing into such crossover projects. But time will tell whether there will be real hype. Nevertheless, both Transformers and G.I. Joe have huge fandoms, and there will probably be those among the audience who will be excited about a crossover movie. Paramount Pictures has repeatedly stated its intention to continue the franchise. Back in 2020, they officially announced 2 more films, Transformers 8 and 9. It was noted that Rise of the Beasts is the beginning of a new big trilogy. It's likely that 8th part will be a direct sequel of Rise of the Beasts. Fans can most likely expect Anthony Ramos and Dominique Fishback to return as their characters, while several of the bots should be back as well. Based on the timing of this announcement, it is possible Paramount will move quickly to get Transformers 8 into production. The upcoming sequels are currently without official release dates, but it is clear that the studio has plans to do more quickly. Producer Lorenzo Di Bonaventura gave a new interview, during which they talked about the 8th part. He confirmed that we will still see a crossover between G.I. Joe and Transformers. Also, according to him, movie will be inspired by military movies. And is this really confirmed by the recent leak of a potential plot? Insiders report that in Transformers 8, we will be shown how Cobra Commander and Megatron have joined forces, combining their military might, advanced technology, and ruthless ambitions to conquer the Earth. The story begins with a series of mysterious and devastating attacks worldwide, where Cobra forces backed by Decepticon technology overrun military installations and steal top-secret weapons. The world governments, including the United States, are caught off guard and struggle to respond effectively. G.I. Joe, the international organization dedicated to counter-terrorism must adapt to this new, unprecedented threat. General Hawk calls upon their best operatives, including Autobots, to investigate and stop this combined menace. Simultaneously, Optimus Prime and Bumblebee, having detected the Decepticon activity on Earth, make their way to the planet to thwart Megatron's plan. They know that if the Decepticons are successful, it could have catastrophic consequences for Earth and Cybertron. G.I. Joe and the Autobots eventually cross paths and realize the extent of the danger they face. They form an uneasy alliance, recognizing that only by combining their skills, technology, and resources can they hope to stop Cobra Commander and Megatron. According to the leaked plot, a colossal showdown takes place at the Cobra Decepticon base. G.I. Joe's human operatives and Autobots, armed with newfound knowledge about their shared enemies, engage in intense combat against Cobra's army of Decepticon-enhanced soldiers and formidable Decepticon warriors. As the battle rages on, various personal conflicts and dilemmas unfold, including the question of whether the Autobots can truly trust humans and whether Cobra Commander and Megatron's alliance can withstand their differing objectives. The story culminates in a high-stakes final confrontation between the leaders of the two villainous factions and the combined might of G.I. Joe and the Autobots. It's a battle of epic proportions, featuring intense action and moral dilemmas. Cobra Commander and Megatron are defeated, and their alliance is shattered, but the threat of the Decepticons still looms, leaving room for future conflict, which will unfold in the 9th film. Similar storylines were in some comics and animated series, so there's nothing stopping studios from making a large-scale crossover out of the 8th Transformers. In all Transformers movies, US Army played an active role, and what if we simply replaced them with G.I. Joe, who teamed up with Autobots to stand up to the Decepticons? But I personally think that for now, these franchises should develop separately, and only after a few successful movies can they give us a crossover. But the post-credits scene also showed us Mirage, hinting at an interaction between him and Noah in the next film. That's interesting. According to the producers, Transformers 8 will focus a lot on Energon, and details of its origin will be revealed to us. Essentially, the franchise is quite young right now, and there are a ton of storylines that could form the basis of future movies. We haven't even shown Megatron in the rebooted universe, so the writers definitely won't have a shortage of ideas. Apparently, we will still see a direct continuation of the story with Noah and Mirage, and their interaction in the next films may become more interesting and varied. After all, if Paramount again wants to create a new duo of Autobot and human, then the audience will definitely be exhausted by monotonous plots. It will be more profitable for them to develop existing characters in more depth. Since filming has yet to begin, we likely won't see Transformers 8 until 2025. The next project will be a full-length animated film with Chris Hemsworth titled Transformers 1. It has been in the cards for a while, originally being approved by Paramount in 2020. It seems people cannot get enough origin stories, and this film will provide just that. It is always interesting to look at the history of characters we know and love. Audiences can understand more about the motivations behind their actions and how their relationships have developed over time. Being an animated movie, Transformers 1 will take a different tone than the previous live-action films. It will be nice to get back to the franchise's origins and have a bit of a lighter feel to the story. We are returning to where it all began on Cybertron. This story stays true to the origins of past comic books and TV series. Our main characters include Optimus Prime and Megatron, who begin as friends. Viewers can see what happened and how they became enemies. Inevitably, this also explains how the Autobots and Decepticons begin their war. Transformers 1 is still in production, and Paramount recently pushed back the release. Its original release date was in July 2024, but it is now set to roll out on September 13th next year.